Lisa here, coming at you with some real-life career advice. For those of you who don't know, I'm a product manager in the tech world and I have learned my fair share of career lessons, and I'm making these videos to share my knowledge. Now, today's video is specific to product management, so if you're not interested in product management in the slightest, first of all, you're crazy because it's an excellent career path, but second of all, I have other more general career content in my channel. I'll link one of my more general career advice videos in this general area. So in this video, I want to talk about two types of questions that are often asked in product interviews, and I want to give you some insight on how you can absolutely crush it when you're asked these questions. So one really common question is, what is your favorite product? Why is it your favorite product? And what would you do to improve upon that product? The other is a more hypothetical type of a question. It's generally something like, tell me how you would go about designing a certain product for a very specific set of users. A common example of this would be, tell me how you would go about designing a vending machine for someone who is visually impaired. Now, although these questions are different and you will have different answers for each of the questions, the interviewer is really trying to get to the same information about how you would function as a product manager. For the most part, interviewers are trying to assess whether you can build customer empathy, define and prioritize customer problems, understand the business strategy, and last but not least, test your hypotheses. So let's break each of these things down, starting with empathy. So in both of these questions, when I am interviewing a product manager candidate, I often look to see if the candidate can harness customer empathy when coming up with a solution. And the way that they can harness customer empathy is by maybe shadowing users. So in the example where you're designing a vending machine for someone who's visually impaired, maybe you would shadow some visually impaired people for the day and watch as they try to use a vending machine. Another way that you can harness customer empathy is by conducting a lot of customer interviews. So talking to your customers and figuring out what their core problems are so that you can build something that will solve their problems. Even in the question where we're asking about your favorite product and what you would do to improve upon that product, I still want to see that you would still talk to potential users and confirm that other people have similar problem points or pain points that you do, and that the solution that you would build to make the product better, in your opinion, would also help other customers. Harnessing empathy is incredibly important for a product manager. When you build features, you're not just coming up with ideas in your mind and then building those out. It's really important to understand the market and get empathy for your customers so that you understand their problems and you can build something that really solves their needs. So once the interviewee demonstrates their empathy, I like to hear them state the certain problems that users are experiencing. So in the hypothetical vending machine question, I would want to hear them talk through specific problems that visually impaired people may encounter. Like maybe it is hard for them to actually find the vending machine, or it's really hard for them to know what product offerings are within the vending machine. Or maybe they know what products are in the vending machine, but they don't know how to actually get the product into their hands. It's important to be able to define the different sets of problems that customers experience so that you can move on to the next step and start to think about possible solutions to solve those problems. The next thing that I look for when people are answering these questions is an alignment with business strategy. It is so important for product people to be in tune with the overall company strategy. So during these questions, I would want to hear the candidate talk about what the company goals are and maybe what the competitive landscape looks like. A product person can come up with some really good ideas, but if they're not in alignment with company strategy, then those ideas are kind of useless. You need to be able to understand problems and think of solutions that would solve those problems, but you need to make sure that the solutions that you're creating are in alignment with where the company is going and what the competitive landscape looks like. So I like to hear the set of problems that you want to solve for, and then a prioritization of which problems you want to solve first, based on which problems are the most pressing and which solutions could be in the most alignment with the company's strategy. This shows how the interviewee goes about prioritizing different features, which is a really important skill for product managers to excel at. The third thing I look for when I'm asking these questions is an emphasis on trying, testing, possibly failing, and of course, learning. One of the biggest dangers in product management is that you think of a really great solution, you spend a year developing that solution, and then when you actually release it, you realize it's a complete flop because it's not actually solving customer problems. So I want to hear how you would go about actually testing your hypothesis or idea to make sure that it would actually solve customer problems. Would you build a really quick prototype and put it in front of customers? Would you conduct more customer interviews to make sure that you're actually solving a problem? Would you be asking the right questions in those customer interviews? Spoiler alert, don't ask customers if they would use your product because people are generally polite and will just say that, yeah, they'll use it. So I want to hear if you have understanding on how to actually figure out if your solution would solve a market need. So when you're answering these questions, if you can demonstrate that you have customer empathy, you're able to define problems, you understand the importance of aligning with company strategy, and you also understand the importance of testing your hypothesis to make sure that you're delivering the right solution, well, you'll definitely impress your interviewer. Now, those are the main things I'm looking for when I'm interviewing a product candidate. And there's also a few quick tips I want to mention as well to help you as you answer these questions. So the first tip I have for you is to ask clarifying questions to your interviewer. These questions are really broad and can go in a lot of different directions, so just ask clarifying questions along the way to make sure that you're going in the direction that your interviewer wants you to go in. The second thing to keep in mind is that it's totally okay to ask for maybe 30 to 60 seconds so that you have time to collect your thoughts, jot down some notes, and figure out what your approach will be. These questions are really broad and kind of ask you to outline what a product manager might do within the span of a couple months. So the fact that you have to do it on the spot in 10 minutes is kind of a crunch. So asking for 30 to 60 seconds so that you can collect yourself and think of a really good answer is totally okay, and your interviewer might actually appreciate that you're taking that time to collect your thoughts. The third tip I have for you is to talk through your entire thought process. The interviewer wants to hear how you think as a product person. Obviously, the interviewer can't just watch you for 3 months as you build out a solution. So they're just trying to figure out how your mind works as a product manager. So talk through your thoughts, talk about why you're making certain decisions, and don't be afraid to backtrack on certain decisions if you realize that you're going in the wrong direction. Also, list any assumptions that you're making and confirm those assumptions with the interviewer so that you're both on the same page. So there you have it. I hope this video was helpful for you and that when you have your next or maybe your first product interview, you absolutely crush it. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, please press that thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And if you want to hear more content from me, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and turn on those notifications so you know the minute I upload a new video. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.